The Shinjuku Showdown, the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of people have conflicting feelings about this arc, but that doesn't matter now. I personally think it's good for what it is, but no one cares, okay? But today, I'm going to be ranking everyone who fought Sukuna in the Shinjuku Showdown. I will only be ranking people who fought Sukuna one-on-one, like Maki, Kusakabe, or Gojo, and rank people who have fought Sukuna with Yuji. This is because Yuji is kind of a constant in a lot of fights against Sukuna. I'm also ranking them on how good they did against Sukuna, how much they helped in weakening Sukuna in their fight, or setting up another person to fight Sukuna, and how cool their fight was in general, because cool fights are always better than non-cool fights, okay? Also, I'm mostly focusing on a character's one-on-one fight with Sukuna. So for example, I'm really only going to be talking about Maki's 1v1 with Sukuna, compared to when she was jumping Sukuna with everybody else. I know the way I'm ranking it is kind of weird, but I want to be different, okay? Also, this is my video, so I can rank it any way I want. So, the list of characters I will be ranking in this video is Gojo, Kashimo, Higuruma, Yuta, Maki, Kusakabe, Miguel Larue. For this video, I'm just going to couple them together. It saves time. Yuji, Todo, and Yuta in Gojo's body. So no Choso and no Ino. I'm sorry to all the Choso and Ino fans. Maybe next time, but not today. Also remember, this is my opinion, but if you disagree, comment down below. And yes, that's me baiting for more engagement. But with all that yapping out of the way, let's get straight into the list. Number 10 goes to Kashimo. Kashimo literally did nothing to Sukuna. He even made Sukuna transform into his true form. And Sukuna's true form is better for getting jumped than Megami's body. He literally made the chances for our main crew worse. He did nothing to help or set up anyone else to fight Sukuna. And even his fight was one of the most boring and underwhelming fights in the entire Shinjuku Showdown. If you're a Kashimo fan, you need to reevaluate your life choices. Honestly, Kashimo should have never stepped foot onto the battlefield, okay? I'm just gonna say it. He was useless, okay? He's a fraud. Number 9 goes to Kusakabe. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I love Kusakabe, and he's an underrated GOAT, but he did do nothing to Sukuna and got off-screened. He did nothing to help our main crew's chances against Sukuna even after he got off-screened. The only reason he's above Kashimo is because his fight with Sukuna was way cooler, gives him character growth and development. Also, his fight scaled him a lot higher, and I like that because he's underrated in terms of strength. So yeah, he gets number 9, but he only gets number 9 because Kashimo's a fraud. Now number 8 goes to Higuruma. Now Higuruma is above Kashimo and Kusakabe because he made Sukuna cut off one of his hands and removed his cursed tool. So he's done more than Kashimo and Kusakabe combined. His fight was entertaining, and I like the conclusion to his character, and he helped our main crew's chances more than number 9 and 10 combined. The only real aspect I don't like is that he got hyped up to have the potential of Gojo. He had the same potential as Gojo, which is consistent with his character's introduction, but then he immediately dies. That bothers me. So that kind of brings down the fight for me, but everything else is fine, just not as good as everybody else that's left on the list. Number 7 goes to Miguel and Larue. I bunched them together because Miguel has the introduction and the flashback to their fight, and Larue has the conclusion to their fight with Sukuna. So they're kind of just like a duo, so I paired them together. They go above everyone else on this list right now because Miguel saved I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm gonna go with Ui, and Ui is extremely important to our crew's chances to beat Sukuna with his teleportation powers. Then Larue held Sukuna in place with his curse technique, so Yuji could hit a black flash and activate his awakening. So both increased other people's chances to defeat Sukuna and saved a major player in the Shinjuku Showdown. The only thing that is lacking is their fight with Sukuna, which is quite boring and doesn't last long. Also, it's funny to see that in a flashback, Gojo was racist. The only reason they're this low is because their fight with Sukuna was boring, and they left as soon as they joined the battlefield. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably put them higher. But they served their part, so who cares? Number 6 goes to Maki. Now, Maki is one of my favorite characters in JJK, but compared to everyone else who's yet to come on this list, she hasn't done as much as they did. She did stab Sukuna in the heart and made him have to manually pump blood through his heart so like he could keep living and stuff. She was also one of the only people who made Sukuna excited to fight.
This is a voiceover because the audio file got corrupted, but the fight was pretty good and had good art, and the fight was very entertaining, which is an aspect I'm using for ranking everybody. And she did damage Sukuna for his next opponent, so overall I put her higher than Miguel and Larue just because she had a better fight and stabbed Sukuna in the heart.
Number 5 goes to Yuta in his original body. Now Yuta in his original body was able to bust open his domain and hit Sukuna with a Jacob's Ladder, which gave Yuji a perfect opportunity to try and save Megami. And their plan would have worked. but if that bum Megami didn't screw up the whole plan. If it wasn't for Megami, they would have beat Sukuna right there. And because of Megami, Yuta got hit with the attack that kind of looks like a world cutting slash, but I don't know if it's a world cutting slash or not because I have very low reading comprehension.
Low-key, I'm stupid because it was a world cutting slash.
But Yuta did serve as part of the plan and was able to get off good damage against Sukuna. I put him above Maki because he took one of Sukuna's hands and set up Sukuna to get stabbed. And number 4 goes to Yuta and Gojo's body. The real reason he's this high up on the list is because he saves Yuji and Todo from Sukuna's domain expansion. Also, when Yuta and Sukuna's domain shatter from Yuta's hollow purple, Todo is able to use the shards of the domain to switch Yuji around to distort Sukuna. Also, he gets Angel to come into the battlefield to hit Sukuna with a Jacob's ladder! I'm sorry, I won't do that again. And you could say that this feat should go to Yuta in his original body, but he did set up this plan with the expectation he would fight Sukuna in Gojo's body. So he does come in clutch, but he doesn't get any higher than this because he tried to fire a hollow purple and it failed. That's kind of embarrassing. Like, you tried to fire it and it failed immediately. Like, you were fighting a Sukuna that was missing 2 arms. He was basically crippled at that point. And his second hollow purple didn't damage Sukuna at all. He also disconnected mid-fight and is currently laying on the ground eating dirt, but only time will come to see if he's actually useless in this fight. So he could rise up the ranks, but for right now I'm going to keep him at number 4. Number 3 is Todo! And having Todo at number 3 does seem crazy, but he does a lot of stuff to help our main crew. First off, he teleports Miwa, Maki, and Inoue. How do you pronounce his name? Ino, I think. Out of Sukuna's domain, and at least Maki's a big player, so he saved one of the biggest players in the whole Shinjuku Showdown. He's also able to distort Sukuna with his Boogie Woogie on 2 different occasions, and gives Yuji the opportunity to hit Sukuna with some gnarly hits. So without Todo, everyone but Yuji would have been cooked. Literally, they would have been cooked. He also encourages Yuji to get back up, like in Shibuya. So Todo survived a Black Flash from Sukuna, saved Maki, Miwa, and Ino, helped Yuji both physically and mentally, and outsmarted Sukuna. He definitely deserves number 3. He's the underrated GOAT, okay? I've changed my mind about Todo. He's not a fraud. He's actually a GOAT, okay? I used to not like Todo, but now I like Todo, so I've changed my mind. Now on to number 2, which is Yuji Itadori himself. And who would have not expected him to be number 1 or 2? Yuji is the GOAT! He's been constantly fighting Sukuna, even when Higuruma fell, Yuta fell, Larue fell, and got one tapped, and when Choso died. But he let none of that stop him. He's been constantly fighting Sukuna and has done the most damage to Sukuna out of everybody on this list aside from number 1. He's the only person on this list to make Sukuna throw up his own fingers. That is a crazy feat, okay? Yuji is literally giving Sukuna PTSD, post-traumatic Satoru disorder. He's the only one who keeps getting up to fight Sukuna, and he's been taking every chance to help weaken Sukuna. He would be number 1 if there wasn't another person on this list that's even more goated than Yuji himself. Yuji is the true main character of Jujutsu Kaisen. Finally, number 1 is Miwa, of course. Miwa has been doing the most damage against Sukuna. She's constantly getting up to fight. I'm joking. Number 1 actually goes to the glorious, blue-eyed, white-haired king, Gojo Satoru himself. Without Gojo, everyone would have been cooked. They would not stand a chance against Sukuna if Gojo did not weaken him. Gojo also had the best showing against Sukuna. His fight was the most interesting, complex, and hype fight in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. He had the best fight with Sukuna and left his students with a super weakened Sukuna so they wouldn't be one-tapped immediately. Gojo definitely did the most against Sukuna and deserves the number 1 spot because he's the GOAT. He's the best character in the entire show, in the entire series, in the entire franchise, in the entire anime world. I think I have a Gojo problem. So yeah, that's my rating for everyone in the Sukuna cycle. Some characters could have been changed around. Maybe would have changed Yuta and Maki, but I like where I put them. I could see someone changing them, but everyone else I really liked how I ranked them, at least for my ranking criteria for this video. Of course, if you disagree with any of my opinions in this video, you can comment down below. And yes, that's me baiting for more engagement like I did earlier. But while you're commenting, also like and subscribe. If you have any ideas, comment down below because it takes me honestly like 3 to 4 days just to come up with ideas for these videos. With that, my yapping session is done, and like Sukuna, I'm gonna run away.